Hey, welcome back to the Polish Protege. I'm about to start a new project because why not? So I talked a little bit when I talked about the ranunculus, if you watched that video, about how I'm not great with keeping tubers and things alive over the winter. I have a hard time dialing into the right level of moisture versus dried out so they don't rot or shrivel up. But my sister's great at it, and she is a dahlia fanatic. So I've got some dahlia tubers we're gonna play with. But first I wanna show you these containers that I have because I needed to use some weird containers for this. And this is what I saved from my kitchen yesterday. Look, it's a Quaker Oats box. This is all cardboard. This is gonna make an ingenious potting plant for a large plant that I don't wanna disturb the roots for because I can plant it outside in this. You know, I can just take this bottom out and just plant this, and this will just get, turned back into soil. But it needs to be a big plant because this is pretty big, but I'm not gonna throw it away. I might need it. Little clamshell containers. This is a little baby one. This is from tomatoes. Great. They have drainage in them already. They're fantastic. They have a heat dome. They're not very deep, this one, so I'd have to grow something with short roots, but it's a good way to get some seeds germinated. But these are the holy grail. These are from Greens. I ordered Greens, and they come in these containers. And this is what I'm going to use for our project today. First step, fill these with some soil. So today, we're going to take these containers, which are about maybe 3 inches deep. I got about 2 inches of soil in them. I've got 2 of them set up. And we're gonna take saved dahlia tubers from my sister's garden, and we're gonna pre-sprout them to make more. So she has them in just these little bags. This is how she stored them all winter, with open bags of vermiculite. They're inside of here. Then she put them into boxes, and then she stores them in her barn on an outside wall. So they're cool, but not freezing. She's found the perfect spot for them. And I'm gonna show you one of these ones first. Let me find this guy. Maybe, yep. They look like this, okay? This is the tuber part. Up on top is the neck, and this is where the eyes are. I'll take you down and show you the eyes a little bit more specific, but the eyes grow up here on the top of the neck, and this is where the plant grows from, not this part. If you find just this part, it's not gonna grow. You have to have the eyes up on the top, and I'll show you these. This one is Tutti Frutti. So what I've done is I found some labels. I'm gonna stick them into, I'll do it on the side so you can see, into my soil. And I'm just gonna lay these here and kind of bury a little bit around it, but keep that neck out. Hang on, I'll show you a little bit closer. So I'm just gonna set it in here, kind of like this. I want it to be making contact with the soil. I'm gonna build the soil up kind of around it, but I want this neck to be out. So they're just gonna kind of live in here like so. Sorry, I moved that camera around a lot. And I'm gonna do that for all of these. So what she did with these after she knew that I could do this, we talked about pre-sprouting these dahlias. She's not done it yet. She's never really a good spot in her house for it. So we decided we'd take some of her tubers and we'd try it this year and see how it works. This is totally an experiment on my end. The internet says it can be done. Lots of flower farmers say it can be done. No, this is an experiment. Don't get your advice from me. Search out better information elsewhere. However, here's what we did. She went out, checked her tubers, which she does every couple weeks, and make sure they're okay. And if there's any that have gone moldy, she gets them out of there so they don't infect the rest of her bunch. However, she picked out 6 that she really liked. She brought them into her house and started warming them up, and they plumped up. Kind of like when we put the ranunculus corms into water and they looked from shriveled to plump. That's what these did when they started to get warm. And then they started to grow these eyes. And I'm gonna see like this reddish spot right here. That's an eye. There's another little one kind of starting off to the side. Those are eyes. Those are all gonna grow a plant. But if you don't have that part on top of the neck, then nothing is going to grow. So here are the 6 varieties we did. We buried that Tutti Frutti already. You can see they look very different. This Bahama Mama is really big. It's got lots and lots of eyes. This wildcat looks a little bit not quite as awake. The taboo, when she gets them in the fall and brings them out of the ground, they form in clumps and you break them apart. She left these two together because she was afraid of breaking an eye or a neck on one. So she just left them together. This is a skinny one, bigger, fatter one with lots of eyes on it too. Same thing, we're gonna kind of push them in about halfway. We're gonna kind of build the soil up around them. Like so. And then I'm gonna water them in. I just went and added some water around the soil and kind of settled the soil around them. This needs a little bit more, I think. I don't want to give them too much water because I don't have drainage holes on these. Again, this is all an experiment. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing here, friends. So I went ahead and added these under the light after I watered them in. Aren't they pretty? All right, now what I'm watching for is I'm watching for all those little eyes to sprout sprouts. And once they get a couple leaves, I'm gonna pluck them off of here. And let me show you what we do next. All right, once I have little green sprouts with a couple leaves, I'm gonna snap them off those tubers and I'm gonna try and root them in water. This right here is an arrow garden. I have had one of these for several years. It works fantastic. You fill it with water, there's a light on a timer, you can add fertilizer to the water, and you can hydroponically grow things like lettuces and herbs. You can even do tomatoes and some of the bigger ones. I love it. But what I'll do is I'll actually use these holes and I'll put maybe a couple pieces of tape across them and I'll put that tuber in there so that I can get them to grow roots in this arrow garden. If you don't have an arrow garden, or if I get more than 6, I also have one of these things. You can find these anywhere. They're just little tubes. And you do the same thing, put a piece of tape across the top so it doesn't fall down in the tube, stick it down there and keep them full of water. They just have to be filled up more often. You also can do it with mason jars or any kind of container you have, but the goal is to keep it full of water to touch the bottom of your plant so your plant will grow roots. After that, you can take it out of here when it's got a good root system and you can plant them into containers like that. Okay, why are we doing this? Couple different reasons. One, dahlia tubers are very expensive. So this makes a whole bunch of dahlias for free off the tubers that we already have. Dahlia tubers can cost anywhere from maybe 4 to 8 for smaller ones and up to as much as 15, 16. I've seen them. They can be expensive for a plant, especially in Michigan where it can't overwinter and I have to dig it back up and try and keep it alive and baby it all winter and then go to all this trouble to resprout it in the spring. Expensive. This is way cheaper. 2, dahlias only reproduce from tubers. So a dahlia plant that is not going to make some seeds for you to take and plant next year and get the exact same plant. You'll get a dahlia, but it will be its own version of a dahlia. It might keep the big petals, it might keep the color, and it's a total crapshoot. You have no idea what it's going to do. I mean, maybe somebody way more advanced than I knows what it's going to do, but I don't. So if you want to get the exact same one, so if I want a Bahama Mama from that tuber that we just put in soil, I have to have another tuber sprout off that plant in the fall and save it and then baby it until spring. Or I have to take a cutting off that plant and grow roots on it, and that will turn into an identical plant. So this lets me make multiples of the same dahlia. Okay, yes. Third, I'm doing this because dahlias are gorgeous and beautiful, and I want them in my garden longer. So starting these little shoots, getting them rooted, and starting them in the house right now in the middle of February means I will have dahlias in my garden earlier, thus a longer season before winter comes and kills them. Also, who doesn't love a fun garden experiment when there's all that snow outside, right? So I will keep you up to date on this. The Great Dahlia Experiment, brand new to me, is underway. And if you have any good advice about rooting dahlias, please let me know. All right, have a great day and I will see you soon.